War Room. I am GL, the host, also known as Gladys Louise, and you can find me on Twitter at NeverEnoughGLT. And I have a really big secret to tell you that the Going for Two crew is probably some of the best fantasy analysts that you've never heard of, but you will. And two of the gentlemen are right here. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves, please.
I'll go last.
Okay.
Wow. He's starting off really nice today. Hey guys, I'm Hamid Sandu. You can find me on Twitter at FFJunkie85. And this is our second week doing this, and I'm excited to talk stats and fantasy for week 2, guys.
And injuries.
And injuries. And updates.
And injuries. And updates.
He's like, Hamid's like, they gave me the boring stuff to go with. My name's Jared Riccadonna. Just find me at Rico_3733. I'm also a contributor for Going for Two, and so over here, I'm partying hard with all these preservatives going into my body for Gladys. Just
and then we will have another member joining us in the second half hour. That would be Gerson. You can find him at the Fantasy G-Pod, who will help us with our DFS starts and sits and whatnot, whatever we have. So, gentlemen, welcome back. And everyone that's with us, welcome back. Thank you. Send us your starts and sits questions, life questions, whatever you want. We got you. We got you. So
I have one. If I may interrupt real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Let's get the fun one out of the way. So
okay.
This is my random thought for a day. I think I want to do like a random question just to break the ice every Sunday. My first one for me is, and not to be weird, it's more just for laughs, but what do you do first? Do you eat breakfast and then shower, or do you shower and then eat breakfast?
Why do you assume that I shower at all? So
a little mind blower. See, let's just break the ice.
I don't eat breakfast. I don't eat until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
What? Well, I'll help you out, man. I gotta shower first. I can't bring myself to have breakfast. I'll shower first.
I'm the same way. I was just curious. That was like my random thought out of left field. Don't ask how my brain functions because there's no plausible clause. But I just want to do like one random thought and question for the week. So
you're telling me that you can't eat until you shower? Like if you don't shower, you won't eat? Is that what you guys are telling me?
Oh, no, I'm a dude.
No.
Okay.
First of all, I want to make it clear. I don't shower in the mornings. Since we're all working from home, I usually shower later in the day. Since March.
Jared said always shower first. No. Food. Jared, come on. Food first.
All right, Gladys. Sorry, I stole your thunder. Go ahead.
I have no thunder. Small lightning bolts, maybe. All right, so let's start with our Thursday musings, what we thought about the Battle of Ohio and what fantasy perspectives we took from that. And I'll just start. I think that Baker Mayfield, he's not going to be your QB1 in fantasy, but I think that the thoughts that he is done are overblown. But just remember that now that Stefanski has decided to go, like, what was it, 219 rushes and 216 passes for the game for Cleveland, something like that. They're going to split it evenly. Baker's going to be a good QB2. Like, I played him this week in a league that I have 2 quarterbacks, and he came up with like 17.6 fantasy points. He's going to have a medium ceiling, but he's going to also have that low floor. But I thought he looked okay. Joe Burrow looked better, but whatever. He's a kid.
I mean, you talk about Baker Mayfield. Have you looked at his schedule, though? I mean, we got...
he's in a division that's nothing but
look at the division that he plays in. I'm not sure how comfortable I am to have him as my QB2, especially in the Superflex.
I'm okay. If they do half and half, if they do half runs, half passes, I'm okay with it. With the first 15 plays, 7 were passes, 8 were runs. He was 3 for 3, 78 yards and a touchdown. I'm okay with that. I will go with that for my QB2.
I say you leverage that and post it. See, even the baby's crying that they think your analysis is so bad, Gladys. So, that's out of love, by the way. That's out of love.
He is knocking my things. Jared said, how good is the best combo we've seen in a decade? If Cleveland doesn't fall behind, they will win games.
Well, I'll say you leverage that and use this big week as a tool to trade Mayfield for something bigger, better, fill another spot that you need to be in. I agree with Hamid just in the fact that playing Baltimore twice, playing the Steelers twice, it's a little off-putting. But on a more brighter note, I'm actually finally sold. I was skeptical, but not completely out of the loop on playing both Hunt and Chubb. If you own them both as on the same team, I think you can have a good dynamic duo, starting both comfortably. Especially we still see it seems to be a juggle between OBJ and Jarvis Landry every week, so that usually opens up more opportunities for the run. And Stefanski obviously deployed his Madison Cook combo in Minnesota, so I'm a lot more comfortable with that. On the other side, poor Joe, right? Poor Joe. We can't get anywhere with him getting his first win yet. But as many times as he's passing on volume alone, I think there's going to be a strong opportunity for him to be able to continue to put up the QB2 options, just because that Bengals defense is so awful that the Burrow will be a solid super flex since he'll be playing catch up so much.
What about that
Hey
offensive line?
guys, just a
What
quick
about
update, guys. KJ Hamler is active, and so is Devontae Parker.
Parker's active?
And Parker is active today.
Oh.
That's also a little bit of a surprise, but yes,
Risky
he'll be active.
Risky play. It'll probably be a decoy.
And for those who already don't know, this was announced about 20 minutes ago. Courtland Sutton is also active. But speaking of decoys, he'll be a decoy this week.
Decoy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my note for the Bengals and Browns game, I really want to talk about this because I'm very upset about this. I benched John Brown for AJ Green this week, thinking that the Bengals are going to have to throw a ton. So Green was expected to have a double-digit target share, which he did. It just looked like the entire game that everyone he Burrow threw to except AJ Green was on target. He was accurate with everybody but AJ Green. I'll give you this, though. AJ Green, in my opinion, had two key drops. One in the end zone where he tried to one-hand it. He should have gone with two hands. He would have caught it. The other one was the go route on the right-hand side where Burrow threw the ball and Green just mistimed his jump. So the ball came to him as he was going down. So those are two drops for Green. But outside of that, Burrow did just not throw it really well to AJ Green. But I'm hoping that improves because I did trade for AJ Green pretty cheap last week. So I'm hoping that pans out. But that's my biggest concern on the Bengals offense from a fantasy perspective is AJ Green.
All right. Why is anyone concerned about the Bengals offensive line? Why? Why are you not concerned about that?
Well, for one, Burrow can actually run with the ball. He can make up for the lack of that offensive line, for one. And plus, they have enough weapons. And if you notice, Burrow did hold the ball a few times a lot longer than he should have. But that offense is built to release the ball pretty quickly. I don't have the stats yet as far as his release point, how many seconds he took to release the ball, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty quick. So that's why I'm not too worried about the offensive line. What are your takes on that?
I think he didn't. I think he should have thrown the ball away a few times, but that's just coming with the rookie play. You know,
Yeah.
he took a couple sacks, but you don't want your franchise quarterback, whether a rookie or 15 years pro, to take a sack. I think he's still got plenty to develop, but overall, I think he's the real deal as well. It's just a matter of bolstering that O line. You got to remember too. I believe they lost Price and who was their first rounder out of Bama? Jonah? Was it Jonah?
I don't know.
I don't have the name in front of me right now.
Yeah, Jonah Williams from he's finally back, and he was out last year with their first round picks. So they pretty much have a rookie line with high upsides. So losing both and then just getting them back, they'll be able to grow and learn together. So it'll be exciting to watch. I think my bigger heartbreak goes to CJ Uzoma. Being gone for the year. I was really high on him. I was drafting him as my steal for most tight ends where everyone was looking at Herndon or someone like that. I actually looked more to Uzoma's side. I just had a feeling, and it looked like it was going to hit, but I guess go out and get Drew Sample now, as he looked okay in garbage 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 targets, 8 receptions. The only thing I would say, though, is he had 52 yards, but he was targeted a ton by Burrow.
But also there were dump off passes that keep them from getting the end zone. So, but still, if that's going to be, I'll take garbage time points all day.
Yeah, but from a tight end, are you really expecting a bunch of air yards unless you're George Kittle? Is that
Jared's question? Or no? No.
What is it?
Can you see the questions on your screen?
No.
Okay. Jared said he personally thinks Burrow will be better than Lawrence. What are your thoughts?
I'm not going to dismiss it. It's tough to gauge that just until we get through all the rest of the season, and if Lawrence still stays healthy. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a believer in Burrow just because he's getting the 1 year advance on his experience. Most rookie quarterbacks are going to come in, and Gladys is kind of like this. Most rookie quarterbacks are going to come in and not beat Ben Roethlisberger. So, you know.
Well, not just that. I think I would also agree with what Jared is saying, only because we don't even know where Lawrence is going to end up. What if he goes to Jacksonville? Are we going to really say, let's play hypothetical. If he goes to Jacksonville, who has the better career, Burrow or Lawrence? It's Burrow, obviously. They have the better sporting cast. So I do agree with that.
Okay,
What
Kyle.
does he think? What does he think? Or she?
Kyle is in a PPR. He wants to know Devontae Parker or Cortland Sutton.
Ouch. Oh, that is a miserable dilemma to have.
All right, so we're going to go ahead, Hamid. I'll let you take this one first.
I don't know how you don't go Parker in this case. I mean, given that, he's fading Buffalo. I totally get that. Miami's going to throw it's a bet. Sutton is not healthy. We all agree that Sutton is not healthy, okay? Having given that, I think he's going to be a decoy this week against the Steelers. Having said that, Parker, granted he's facing the Bills, and he's likely going to be shadowed by White, unless that's going to be somebody else. I highly doubt that. Yeah, it's not going to be Preston, but it's going to be Parker. But I'll take my chances with Parker, expecting that team to having to throw a ton to keep up with the Bills' offense.
You know, Tre'Davious White hasn't allowed a touchdown, right, to a wide receiver.
Well, you're not going for a touchdown upside. You're going for the PPR upside.
I'm going to go Sutton. Even as a decoy, Drew Lock loves him, and he will throw to him because they are going to be behind in Pittsburgh and Heinz Field, and he's going to have to throw. And he's got Sutton, he's got Fant, he's got Judy, but he loves Sutton. Even as a decoy,
let's see, against the one of the top defenses in the league on a short week. Remember, they played Monday night. So are you really trusting Sutton and Drew Lock to be connecting? First game of the season for Sutton.
Tre'Davious White, yes. And Ryan Fitzmagic, come on.
So here's the thing. I'm rocking Sutton for this reason. In 2019, Sutton was in the top 10 for red zone targets inside the 20 at 19, catching 9 of them. Not necessarily for touchdowns per se, but even inside the 10, he was in the same spot with 9. No, he was not in the same spot. That was inside the 20. Inside the 10, he was tied for first, second, third, fourth, tied for 5th. Inside the 10, catching 3 touchdowns on 9 targets. So if nothing else, you might have some touchdown upside, and then likely playing from behind. I lean Sutton as well over Parker. How about that, Mr. Stats? I don't hear you.
If this was not his first game, if you could tell me that he's 100% healthy, this is a no-brainer. Sutton, you play Sutton, but he's not, and it's against a really good defense. I just don't feel comfortable starting Sutton, even if it's Devontae Parker, as asinine as that sounds.
All right, I have Sean wants to know AP versus Green Bay. What do you think?
What? One more time.
AP versus Green Bay. What do you think? Where are you landing on that?
Who is Kerryon Johnson? I'll take that for 500. Who is Kerryon Johnson? And it's unfortunate because he was actually my favorite back out of that draft after Barkley and Geis. But those injuries racked up, and the way he looks, there's no reason not to deploy committee. 1 to 10, 10 being a must start, 1 being a send him to the wire. I'm at about a 5.5 or 6. As the season goes on, you're going to see more of Swift than AP. I think you can get away with AP by between now and week 6 or week 7. I think they'll start deploying Swift a lot more, especially if they're in a losing situation. with a losing record, excuse me. So I'm comfortable playing him as a flex, maybe RB3 potential, but that's probably as good as it gets for me. Hamid?
Well, last week against the Vikings, the Packers allowed 18 attempts, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground to their running back. So I'm not going to say it's a terrible play to play AP versus Green Bay. But Sean, if you have better options, I would rather you go with that. If you can post your options in the chat as far as what your other options are with other than AP, I think that'll be helpful. But if you're asking us that question, AP as a flex option, I don't think it's a bad matchup.
All right, Dan wants to know PPR, Rieger or Miller? Miller all day.
I think this is an easy Miller for me as
Miller
well.
all day.
I think
What do you
so
got,
too.
Jared?
Against the Giants defense, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man. Did you
I'm
look
just
in the
saying.
mirror when you said that? Did you look in the mirror?
Hey man, I am not a biased Giants fan. I am a very even-keeled Giants fan who will tell you they suck because they do suck. We shouldn't have drafted Daniel Jones with our 6th overall
No,
pick.
now you
We should have
started.
taken
Come
Josh
on.
Allen. See, you're getting started this tyrant, then, man.
Way to go, Jared. Way to go. If you
Miller,
can-
by the way. Miller, by the way. He's building rapport with Brady, so.
Yeah.
Zach Pascal and Pittman are both active for the Colts.
Still play Paris Campbell.
I agree with that too. Golden Tate is also active. Michael Perrine is active for the Jets, if anybody's interested in the name. James Conner, as expected, is active, and we get to see Brandon Ayuk this week. Hey, do you guys start Brandon Ayuk, by the way, if you haven't?
No.
I was actually have him as one of my sleeper starters once we get to that segment.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
I got you.
Corey Davis and Sanu, as expected, are also active. No A.J. Brown for the Titans, though. That is going to be interesting to see how Corey Davis does.
Okay. Yeti says, Kerryon Johnson's the guy that seems to be almost dead. Way to go. Yeti always has like the nicest things to say. He's always like the upbeat guy. Wait, thanks, Yeti. I want to see your son.
He's upstairs right now, actually. Yeah, he's not.
All
I
right.
don't think he's in a good mood right now either.
The reason he's crying is someone tried to tell him that PS5 was better than the Xbox Series X, and he's crying.
The PS5 is better. First of all, let's just be PlayStation in general is better. Don't even get me started. I'm more passionate about the PlayStation than the Giants.
What are you doing this morning? All right, Derek wants to know, should he start Wentz, Minshew, or Rivers? Ooh, good Lord. Minshew is my guess. Minshew's my bet. But go ahead. What do you got? Wentz, Minshew, or Rivers? Ahmed.
I'm going Rivers.
Really?
I go Rivers.
Turnover machine, but go ahead.
Yeah, but who has the highest upside on that team? Those three. Between Minshew, Wentz, and Rivers. Considering the defenses that they're playing, who has the highest upside this week? It's Rivers. Easily it's Rivers.
Yeah, but who's going to be throwing
what? Yeah, but the Colts couldn't stop the Colts couldn't stop the Jaguars. Well, then we're not expecting them to stop the Vikings. So given that Rivers is going to throw a ton, he threw 46 times last week. I think that's right about, he's going to throw it 40 to 45 times minimum. I think this is his floor as many attempts he's going to have this week. So I'm going with Rivers here with the upside. I think you know what? Here's a bet. I think Rivers outscores Minshew and Wentz this week.
Together? So you're saying
no. Out of those three, I'm saying Rivers is projected to finish higher than out of those three.
He'll be the highest QB. I'll take that. I'll take that bet.
Yeah,
I reluctantly agree with Hamid.
Reluctantly agree.
All right. So, Derek, we got 2 Rivers, 1 Minshew. Go with Rivers. Go with the big one. Yeti said it's just a Sunday where Jared and Hamid just disagree on everything, and he likes it apparently. He thinks it's fun. Oh, our guy's back. You ready for him? Gerson.
Who?
Gerson.
Oh,
he's here.
Gerson.
He's live. It's
there
Gerson.
He is.
Well, welcome, my friends. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
The DFS master.
he is the DFS master. Although that kind of sounds wrong, but you know what you're saying.
You didn't say the BDSM master. There's a difference.
How you doing, Jordan?
It's not
No,
working.
we can't hear you.
No.
So
No!
while you're working on that,
Hold on, I got to sign back off. Turn on your headphones first, and then sign back on. See if that works. And while he does that, we can talk about our starts, sets, and sleepers real quick before we transition to DFS. If that's okay with you, Gladys, I know it's still your life.
Okay. I have my start. My tight end start is, of course, Logan Thomas. Not only because he's going against the Arizona defense, which still has that narrative of being the best defense to go against for a tight end if you have a fantasy, but because last week, he played on 74% offensive snaps. He ran the route on 91.2%, and he's targeted 8 times. He led the team. He is going to score you fantasy points. And I do believe our dear friend Hamed has the tight end trajectory.
Yeah, I'll have to chime in on tight ends really, really quick here. A stat that I was looking over this past week about tight ends. We had 14 tight ends that scored touchdowns last week. If you are a guy who likes to stream tight ends, this might be the season where you can stream tight ends. If you waited in the draft to draft a tight end and focus on RB and wide receiver heavy, I think you hit gold this year. This was the year to stream tight ends. With 14 tight ends getting at least a touchdown, 16 of them finishing higher than 10.5 fantasy points in PPR last week. That is a ridiculous stat. I couldn't go back to check when was the last time something like that happened. And look at the tight ends getting touchdowns last week that were late round picks. Noah Fant, T.J. Hawkinson, Njoku, Jordan Akins, Logan Thomas, Jonnu Smith, so Greg Olsen, who you were down on, of course, last week. But so if there's a year that you want to be streaming tight ends, this is that year for you.
Start Logan Thomas. Jared, what do you got? Start.
Well, my must starts is Melvin Gordon, just because of Philip Lindsay being out due to volume purposes.
Wow.
So if nothing else, although the Steelers' defense is bolsterous against the run, that's a must play just for volume purposes. Gordon can still catch the ball, and as we've seen, Royce Freeman is not a Rolls Royce. I'll show myself out. So we will move forward with Melvin Gordon. Must start Emmanuel Sanders. I'm sure that's a given. Just again, probably more likely target share other than Jared Cook with.
Hold up. Melvin Gordon against the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense held Saquon Barkley 1.6 yards per game.
I was waiting for that.
He's a must start.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing. I'm not sure how you start if you cannot. I'm gonna go the other way around here. If you can bench Melvin Gordon this week, you bench Melvin Gordon this week. Volume, sure, he'll have it. But okay, let me ask you this question, actually. How many fantasy points do you have Melvin Gordon? Give me his floor and give me his ceiling. What do you think it is?
Floor will give you flex options around a 12, and ceiling's probably going to be about a 20, 21.
He's going to have to catch passes out of the backfield, and that's not going to happen.
I don't know, but
I hate to disagree because I love your cat. But I'm going to go Melvin Gordon. I cannot see Melvin Gordon as a must-start this week.
When was the last time the Steelers are able to cover tight ends and running backs ever through the seam or over the middle? They do not. They do not.
Oh, no. Last week they kind of did with Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley.
So one game is the sample for all. Okay, that's fine. Let's keep that in mind.
We're talking Saquon. Melvin Gordon.
Wait a minute. Wait. This is a terrible comparison here. Barkley is significantly better.
Wait. Kyle wants to know Mark Ingram or James White in a PPR. Go.
James
PPR.
White. I take James
White. I'll go James White. I have to go.
Oh, really? So wait. So if you're going James White there, you just said that Melvin Gordon's floor is 12 points and ceiling is 21. What's James White's floor and ceiling then? Because that has to be higher then.
Do you want me to shake the crystal ball and tell you what your future looks like too?
That wouldn't hurt at all. I would love that actually. I wish I could have it.
How are you?
So, my third one. Can we mic check? Let's hear you. Is that a mimosa?
It's margarita. Good morning.
Margarita, because I thought
Sunday.
Now we can hear him. My third must start's going to be a no-brainer, but you have to stick with Darius Slayton here today. Yes, go ahead. Let me hear it. I'm gonna,
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing.
I love it.
No,
Then
don't disagree.
my sleepers will be Scotty Miller with Godwin being out. I'm still on the James Robinson ship. He looked great and then fell off, but I think there's still room to grow. And then Brandon Ayuk, because I don't see Sanu making a huge difference, even though he's been in the Shanahan system before. He'll be more of a deeper flex play there. And then for the deeper league, Quintez Cephas, who had double-digit targets last week, still replacing for Galore for one more week. Adam Humphries, believe it or not. How about that name?
I like that. That's a good one.
Everyone's banking on the Corey Davis breakout, but now that he might be seeing the top cornerback, who they got again? Titans. They have the Jags. So I guess they ain't saying too much, but even be that as it may, I'm still up for deeper leagues. Adam Humphries, and then Jordan Reed for your sneak tight end, or if you're looking for a value, not to take my man's thunder here on the daily, but Jordan Reed's like what 2,600 or something like that on DraftKings or something like that. So for a starting tight end, there might be a steal there, and just some sleeper appeal.
All right, question from Kyle. He has Melvin Gordon as well, so start between him, Ingram, and White. You're saying Melvin Gordon between Ingram and White?
Yes,
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon. Oh man, I have to disagree with that.
Mike job.
But
I'm gonna have to sit in there.
Here's why Melvin Gordon.
Wait, between Ingram, White, and Melvin Gordon?
Yeah.
You guys are picking Melvin Gordon?
Well, there's no Philip Lindsay, right? He's out?
He's out, correct.
Okay, so he's going to get all the usage, all the carries, most of it. I mean, we're going to have Roy Freeman?
I don't know, guys. I have to disagree with you guys there.
Is there an echo? Is there an echo in my part again? I don't know.
Well, I understand that the Steelers' defense is great. It is great. But I can't see Drew Lock throwing the ball 50 times in this game. The only way they're going to beat them is to run the ball and try to get keep Big Ben off the field.
Gladys is mad.
All right, wait. All right,
I think
so
it's right here. I'm hurt a lot. Thank you, Terry.
It is an elite run defense, but the thing is, I mean, you're going to play James White against the Seattle Seahawks, and then Mark Ingram, who everybody believes that J.K. Dobbins coming. We know that. It's like the meme of the winter is coming, or J.K. Dobbins is coming. You know.
Right.
So I mean, overall, I'm going Gordon. He has the highest, like I guess you can say,
Ceiling,
but not floor. But if you want to go floor, you play James White because he's a PPR machine.
that's who I'm taking here. I would pick James White
I'm
out of
going
those three.
Hey,
I'm going White. All right. Jay wants to know: does Parker being active help or hurt Preston Williams this week?
Oh, definitely help. I think absolutely it does because White would have taken Preston Williams. So I think if you have Preston Williams and you have a flex question and Preston Williams is on your bench, he's not a bad choice to go with as an option. But ideally, if you can avoid starting any Dolphin this week, I'd rather you do that. But if you have a flex situation, you have Preston Williams, and that's the only viable option you have, go for it. But if you can bench him, bench him.
I agree with Kyle. Kyle said that Parker being active probably helps Williams because Parker's going to draw Tre'Davious White, who we talked about, for his matchup, and that'll lock him down right there. I agree. Gerson, what do you got?
I had Preston Williams as my. He already did, I think, but he was going to be my sleeper because I was totally unprepared last week, and I gave like a Antonio Gibson. I'm like, that's not a sleeper. Everybody's playing him, but definitely Preston Williams.
All right, Ahmed, what do you have for your start? I think that Jared went through all of his at one time instead of letting other people get in. Whatever, Jared.
I did last week too.
Are we talking about DFS or fantasy season?
Regular fantasy right now.
Fantasy, Matt Ryan. I mean, obviously, but but the guy that I kind of a value this week, Gardner Minshew, what do you call it, like a stream. I love Gardner Minshew this week. Kirk Cousins, and I had Ryan Tannehill, but then AJ Brown got hurt.
So much Tannehill hate all the time.
I know.
With no AJ Brown, how do you comfortably start Tannehill? I think Tannehill has a safe floor, but his ceiling is just not that
Derrick
high.
Henry is healthy. That's why you start Tannehill.
Well, we're talking about a streamer, right? Like, what's going to be available on your waiver wire in a 12-team league? Probably Tannehill, Cousins, Minshew. I mean, you can say Ryan and what do you say, Dak Prescott all day, but they're not going to be on your waiver wire. You know, at running back, I think James Robinson's kind of interesting because he's probably still out there, and you can pick him up and use him as a flyer. I honestly think a lot of people are like sleeping on Antonio Gibson. He could go off this week. But maybe play him as a play because this is a high-paced game, you know. What's his name? Don't play Benny Snell. I honestly think, yeah, a lot of people were like, Adrian Peterson. He's probably still available. You can pick him up, start him. I think what's their name? The Green Bay Packers nose tackle being out. I think Peterson can have a pretty decent chance to have a good game. I think he's out, right? The nose tackle, the big one they signed for like $50 million.
Kenny Clark?
Yeah, he's out, right?
Tamid?
You're gonna start Naheem Hines, that's for sure.
In or out? Come in.
Who?
Hi.
He's not going to play. He's out. Yep, he's out with a groin. Yep.
Why do you see that? I hate to say this, Corey Davis. Oh my gosh, but yeah.
It's a trap. Don't do it, especially in DFS.
I know. But, one of the guys I like that he was shockingly he was on waivers and a lot of my leagues that I picked up. Mike Williams has a really good chance to blow up in this game, and if he's available, you can start him in your flex. I don't know about Adam Humphrey, guys. I'm not going there.
Do it.
A low flex, but DFS, you don't want to go Adam Humphries. You can be better than Adam Humphries.
Yeah. Oh no, this is all season long, guys. DFS is totally different.
Is this just week 2 or season long we're talking here?
Oh, what's that? Glad he said season long, who I like. So.
Season long, yeah, no. Then there's no need to touch Adam Humphries.
Logan Thomas, if he's still out there, my boy Logan Thomas. Yes. I like him. I think that's probably the only guy to probably be out in the waiver wire. For defense, it's really rough for defense this week. But I think the Cardinals, what's their name, Miami Dolphins, and not Washington football team. Let's see, who do I have here? Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably my favorite defense this week, though. So, but overall, it's just defense. You know, I had the Cleveland Browns really high this week, and they really screwed me over already. So.
Speaking of the Buccaneers, by the way, they only allowed a total of 271 total yards for Saints offense. So I expect them to do even better against the Panthers, and they should be a good stream this week with those streaming defenses.
Yeah.
Yep.
Until otherwise proven, I'm going any defense that plays Philadelphia and Carson Wentz. Put them in your lineup because you are going to get what?
Hey guys, over under how many times does Carson Wentz get sacked today? The over under is 5. What do you think? That's my unofficial over under.
Over.
They're at home, right? Yeah. It's that way.
Rams.
Yeah, but okay. So I get that there's no fans in the stand, but I tell people that it still matters. Like these guys are traveling; they're not sleeping in their own bed. They're not sleeping in their own bed. They're not in their own environment. And just imagine they're still getting tested like the day before. So I can imagine another 1 or 2 hours out of your day, you have to go out of your way to get tested and whatnot. And you're in an uncomfortable environment. But people just think there's no fan. I'm like, there's more to that than just that. I mean, I think players say, I couldn't sleep last night because the alarm went off in the hotel. Oh, I wonder why, But
what?
Have you not seen that when players complain, the fire alarm goes off in the hotel and they wake them up and they're like, oh, well, the Philadelphia Eagles. Wait, is anybody in here an Eagles fan? Who's the Eagle fan in here?
No.
Okay, it's Ben, right? Eagle fan?
Steelers.
Oh, okay. But yeah, over.
Over 5 times.
Donald will get 1.5 of those sacks. The rest can be Randomized. I will say over as well until otherwise. I think Lane Johnson is back, but he can't stop the whole defensive line or offensive line that's just a hot garbage can right now.
Hey, Garrison, I think this question is for you from Kyle. It's a DFS question. He wants to know, is Kyler Murray and Terry McLaurin a stack advisable in cash games?
Well, in cash games, Kyler Murray is a pass game player, and at quarterback I have Kyler Murray, Matt Ryan, and Dak Prescott as my cash game quarterback. But yeah, you can bring him back with Harry McLaurin, but in cash games usually you don't have to worry about bringing back the stack. So yeah, he's a player, but I think there's better. I think I like that Atlanta. Well, everybody does, right? Atlanta Dallas game better, but. Yeah, I would stack Kyler, but I would probably, if I was stacking him in cash game, I'd rather bring him back with, what's his name, Logan Thomas, because he's cheap, so I'll just take him.
Just an FYI for those who have Terry McLaurin, he was up against Darius Slay last week with the Eagles and only saw 7 targets. So I'm hoping to see that number increase. He had 30 routes. Only to have 7 targets on 30 routes ran, that's...
how many passes did Haskins throw for the whole game?
Team pass 34.
Like 19 or something? How many? 24?
Pass plays per 34. 34,
really?
Let me double check that number for you real quick, but I'm pretty sure that was the number Dwayne Haskins had.
It's more than I thought. I thought he was in the low 20s.
31 actually, sorry. 31, I stand corrected. He threw it 31 times, and only 7 of those passes went to Terry McLaurin. I'm hoping that increases because that will start to be concerning if Terry McLaurin is not seeing enough targets. Because
unless you have Logan Thomas, which I do, then it's not. Then it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Today, I think this Cardinal Washington. I almost say that name every single time. Washington football team is going to be a very good game to actually probably have because I usually have 5 TDs on my wall. So I'll watch the red zone and then 5 games that I really want. Today I'm gonna have Jonathan Taylor right on there though, that's for sure. So
in the center.
Oh yeah, but Arizona Cardinals, the football team. It's gonna be interesting because I really think this is gonna be a high-paced game. These two are gonna be one of the highest paced of the week, and I love McLaurin this week. I think if you start him in DFS, that'd be great, but run it back with Hopkins and Kyler Murray or. I wouldn't advise people to start Dwayne Haskins. I know a lot of people have been talking about him, but I'm not a Dwayne Haskins believer. I think he's still a little bit raw. I think he'll get better as the season goes on. But until I see it, I don't believe it. But, yeah.
Hey, Kyle also says that he has Julio and Cooper in that lineup that he's referring to for his DFS question.
That's
so,
perfect.
Yeah, if you have Julio and Cooper, I mean, that's a solid duo for your wide receiver. And for Terry McLaurin, I mean, it's... The Washington football team is expected to be having to pass a ton, like our DFS man here said. It's going to be a fast-paced game, and I think 31 pass attempts for Dwayne Haskins, I think he surpasses that this week, giving McLaurin a good opportunity to have double-digit targets. If he doesn't, that's going to be really concerning for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Hamed, who do you have as your sleeper? You didn't tell us who your sleeper was.
Yeah.
I think my sleeper at tight end, of course, everybody talked about Logan Thomas, but I spoke about this guy last week. I want to talk about him again is, of course, Jonnu Smith with no A.J. Brown. Tannehill's going to rely heavily on Jonnu Smith. And if you guys recall last week, I said he's going to be the number 2 receiving option on this team as far as targets are concerned by the end of the season. O.J. Howard is another option I would say is a sleeper. He had 6 targets and he had a touchdown last week. With no Chris Godwin, Tom Brady is going to be relying on his tight end. In this case, that'd be O.J. Howard. I do expect him to actually do better than last week and actually finish inside the top 12 at the tight end position. I did not see Gronk that involved in that offense. I did watch most of that game, actually, and did not see Gronk really involved a whole lot, which wasn't surprising to most of us. But for those who relied on Gronk, please... I'm not going to... I guess he is... I think he is benched. You can drop him at this point, because I don't think Gronk is... If you're using Gronk every week, that I don't think is going to be a recipe for you to convert into a lot of wins. as far as my wide receivers are concerned, I love T.Y. Hilton this week. Do not be discouraged by last week. I know it's not really a sleeper, but I want to talk about this a little bit because I own him too, actually. So I did do some research on this. The Hilton's matchup this week is significantly. I mean, it was good last week too, but this week also it's a bounce back game for him. I expect Hilton to easily surpass 100 yards. May not have a touchdown. That won't be surprising. He was never a touchdown guy to begin with, but feel comfortable starting T.Y. Hilton.
Sell it.
Can you guys see the question? PJ?
Sell it. You put Paris Campbell here. That's all you need to know.
Okay, Austin Rivers throws to his running backs 38% of the time. So I'm saying Hines. Play Hines, Naheem. PJ Kennedy wants to know, O.J. Howard or Hurst, Dallas linebackers are hurt. Who do you play?
Hurst.
I say Hurst too, even though I said Hurst last weekend, he had, 4 targets for 38 yards and touchdowns. Even though Ryan threw the ball 54 times, I'm going Hurst too. I think he's going to make it up to him.
Part of the reason.
I'm going the other way around, fellas. I'm going against Hurst here.
Man,
This is a common trend today. I'm disagreeing with everybody today.
You should be a lawyer.
Yeah, he should be. Okay, DFS question from Jason. What is the best 5% quarterback that will win the Millie?
Oh, this is my brother. What a punk.
What a punk.
Play Tannehill. Play Tannehill.
No, God, please.
This
Play
might
Tannehill.
be cheating, but he is coming up on ownership at 5%, like you want. But Patrick Mahomes coming in at 5% against the Chargers defense. While I think the Chargers secondary is great, with the addition of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it makes that team more open and allows to open the outside with Tyreek Hill. I think Mecole Hardman is going to have a bounce back game, and he can be one of the number one waivers. I understand Sammy Watkins, but in DFS, if I can stack Mecole Hardman and get him a very low ownership, then yeah, but I think Patrick Mahomes going to be one of those sneaky quarterbacks because he's $9,000. He's expensive. But a lot of good value this week with Jonathan Taylor, Corey Davis, Paris Campbell at wide receiver. There's a lot of good value. Logan Thomas, but I think Patrick Mahomes is my 5% cheap. Not cheap, like low-owned quarterback this week.
What about Mitch Trubisky? What about Mitch Trubisky? I think Mitch Trubisky is not a bad play this week as well.
No, he's a good play, but here's the way I put it. Can I trust $3,000 to $4,000 on Mitch Trubisky? It really hurt me to say that because I love Anthony Miller, I love Allen Robinson, and then they'll bring it back with what's his name, Darius Slayton, who I think is a great play on FanDuel. He's so cheap; it's like $5,200, I believe, or $5,300. But he's good. He's a top value quarterback this week for sure, though. But he won't be in my quarterback pool. I usually do like 6 to 7 quarterbacks, but he barely missed a cut. It sucks because I actually have Daniel Jones on the other side. So
actually, Phillip Rivers is also owned under 5%. I'm looking at the DraftKings, but Phillip Rivers at 4% is also great value if you want to try to take advantage of someone that's owned under 5%.
Play Tannehill. Play Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill, this guy.
Paying that Rivers dump. Okay, PJ wants to know Jonnu or Hurst. So he's taking your Hurst advice over Howard, but he wants to know now, should he play Jonnu or Hurst? DFS still.
Hurst.
Thank you.
I targeted the guy that's going to have the most plays. Okay, Hurst didn't do good last week and we said it. We said he had Jamal Adams on him, so it was a tough matchup. But he still ran the most routes for a tight end in the whole league. He was number one ran route for tight end. And they're going to do it again. That Atlanta Falcons defense is horrible.
It is horrible.
It could be. I mean, I think the Jets are up there too. They're going to be like head to head. Who sucks worse? So, Adam Gase is like the worst coach ever. So I love. I'm a big Jonnu guy. I said it last week with you. We're big Jonnu guys. And the thing about Jonnu, what I love about him, if you watch the game, they were lining him up everywhere. They were lining him up at the running back. They were lining him up at the tight end. They were lining him up on the outside. They used him everywhere. I was like, It was crazy. I'm like, I didn't expect this, but if this is what it's gonna be, I can see John being a top 12 tight end for sure.
Actually, so a little Janu stat here. He had 72% of the snap share for the offense, and 23% of his routes were ran from the slot.
Exactly.
That's a big deal for a Ryan Tannehill type of quarterback who does not account for a lot of air yards. I think Janu Smith is a very safe floor. But if you're chasing the ceiling and you really need help at tight end, although I really don't want you depending on your tight end to have a high ceiling game to win your week, but if you want the high ceiling, go Hurst. But for me, the safe floor with the relatively similar ceiling, I'm taking Janu Smith here.
Garrison, Jason wants to know why do you like Tannehill?
I don't like Tannehill. I didn't say that.
No. That's this other guy here.
Oh,
I refuse to say your name.
okay, I don't even know if that deserves an answer. Jared, why do you like Tannehill?
Yeah.
So since he started last year, week 7, I believe it was, week 7, week 8, he was actually one of the highest ranked quarterbacks against the blitz. They decoy Derrick Henry with play action all the time, and that's what allows them to open up the yardage downfield. It pulls the defense forward. He has an accurate deep ball, and he's in a new system. He fits perfectly into this system. The playoffs you might get a little bit intimidated by with the lack of passing that they had, but all in all, I am a fan. I think he was, as far as rating and efficiency goes, he was second or third. Pardon my not knowing the exact, but he was second or third, and then Lamar Jackson was more efficient than him from a fantasy standpoint last season. And so far, he's scored or has had at least 2 passing touchdowns for the past 9 games straight, I think, or so. So you have a lot of reliability there. And people are still associating him in Miami with, guess who? Adam Gase. No. So let's open our minds a little bit and be a little more understanding that Tannehill is actually under an offense that suits his play style. And I've actually been starting him, or at least owned him 3 out of 5 leagues I'm in so far, and 2 of them I start. The only reason I don't start the other one is because I have Mahomes. So.
Yeah, I don't mind him for season long. I don't mind him for season long. I recommend him on the waiver wire to be one of the guys I like. But for DFS, I'm gonna pass.
Would you play him this week? Garrison, would you play Tannehill this week?
Hello?
Your name.
Me?
Yeah. Are you playing him this week?
Not for DFS. For season long, I'm playing him. Like, I'll start him. But I actually got to the main field on all my streaming, so that was good. But Tannehill was in play for season long too, but not DFS for me.
There's also a conversation on the Corona. Aaron wants you to drink it because he thinks it's getting warm, and Jason wants to know if it's a lamp.
It's a lamp. I can turn it on.
FYI about Ryan Tannehill, guys. He was ranked in the bottom 15. The bottom 15 amongst QBs in pretty much every completion percentage category, except I'll give you credit where it's due. He was ranked 13th in the league in clean pocket completion percentages. So there's a little hope for Tannehill to maybe crack the top 12 in one category.
And his upside with play action, he's one of the best play action quarterbacks in the league because of Derrick Henry. Oh, see?
I'm glad you said. You know what? I'm glad you said that because I wasn't going to bring this up to save your face, but since you mentioned his pass percentage with the play action, he was ranked 18th last week with 69.2% completion percentage off the play action.
Last week, so we're back to the 1 game sample size.
No, I'm just saying.
Okay,
I'm just saying. Well, let's be clear. He did not play a full season last year. First of all, so defense.
Play nice. Okay, who wants to know Jonnu or OJ Howard over Hurst? Would you take Jonnu or OJ Howard over Hurst this week?
Hurst. We just answer this? Like,
no, this is a new. No. I think Kyle's just making a comment that Jonnu or OJ Howard are both greater than Hurst.
Exactly. It hurts for me. If I were to rank my tight end exposure for DFS this week, I know Kyle's a DFS guy, so obviously his pick. Oh well, yeah. My number 1 tight end is T.J. Hawkinson. He's my highest exposure with no Kenny Galladay. we know how great he is. Well, we don't know how great he is, how great he can be, because he's very athletic. He's going to get a lot more usage. I love that Cephas call. I think you said it early on for Sneaky. I definitely like Cephas. I'm a big Cephas guy. I drafted him everywhere in Dynasty, and I try to trade for him too. Logan Thomas, number 2. Mark Andrews, number 3. Hayden Hurst, number 4. And then Kelsey, Hunter Henry, and then a bunch of other guys. But I love Hayden Hurst. I mean, Jonnu, sadly, not that. He's right there, right next to the next chair. So.
Oh, I got Jonnu ahead of Hurst.
Hamid.
Jason, go ahead.
Hold on. Hamid. Ryan Tannehill finishes no lower than QB7 this week.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I sell that.
I sell that for sure. With a lot of, hold on, let me see. I bet he's
QB7.
not even top 15 this week.
You know, Derrick Henry, absolutely, and I don't know the numbers, but Derrick Henry crushed the Jaguars last year. Absolutely. Are you expecting the Jaguars to score on the Tennessee Titans defense this week? Because that's the only way. Tannehill's going to have to throw the ball a lot to finish inside the top 7. I don't see that happening this week.
I expect them to score, but it's just I think the game plan is pretty simple. Run the ball, play
the ball. What didn't Henry have? 31 carries last week? I think it was 31 carries.
34.
34. There you go. Yeah. So
here's the thing. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I had notes. I do a DFS show, so I had notes. But let me give you the notes on Derrick Henry and why I think this is what it's going to be. This game script, obviously.
Right.
Derrick Henry. Well, he ran 22 routes last week. That was impressive. That was a season career high. But over the last 10 games, Henry has averaged 25 carries a game. In his past 3 seasons, when the Titans have been favored by 5 points or higher, he's averaged 20 fantasy points per game, 110 rushing yards, 1.4 touchdown average, and he touched the ball 34 times last week. It's going to be the Derrick Henry show. He's going to run the ball. They're going to play defense, and they're going to get out. That's what they want to do. They don't want to, what do you call it? You have A.J. Brown hurt. I mean, you're not going to throw the ball last week, Tannehill threw it 43 times, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's 40. Did you say 46?
I have it here. 43 is correct.
Yeah. So I think this week they're just going to run the ball. I think he'll be effective. I think he'll have kind of like the Gardner Minshew did last week. Obviously that was crazy, but he'll be probably 18 for 20, 22, 2 touchdowns, maybe some rushing yards. But I just don't see that ceiling so high. I think it's just going to be the Derrick Henry show. One of the craziest things, his prop bet for Derrick Henry was over under 118 yards in Vegas. 118 yards. That's crazy. It's been a long time since I've seen rushing yards that high. So,
actually, just a quick stat for you, real quick, before we move forward. The average QB7 weekly finish last year was 23 fantasy points. So, Are you saying that Ryan Tannehill is going to have at least 23 fantasy points this week?
Well, I guess it would depend on your scoring format too. Again, he's had multiple touchdowns. He's had multiple passing touchdowns, at least 2 touchdowns, for the 9 straight games going back to last year. So it's there. The potential is there, and you have to figure even if Henry does push that Jags defense back, that still opens up for your boy. I'll confess, Jonnu to get a touchdown on the play action run. So it's there. That's how he's getting these touchdown passes, is because of Derrick Henry. That whole offense revolves around Derrick Henry, which opens up the passing for Tannehill. So all it takes is just a few breakout runs. You pull the offense forward, and then there's that play action down the field. I've seen it time and time again. I'm going to start Tannehill if you are in
Okay, so Jason wants to know, who are we streaming this week? I'm streaming YouTube and I sat them with Jordan Reed and Bourne. What do you got?
For daily?
Yes.
G-Man here's going to be upset, but I'm actually playing Jordan Reed this week. As crazy as that sounds,
I wouldn't call that crazy at all. Actually, I actually like that.
Quarterback.
Oh, quarterback. I thought you just said streaming in general.
No, quarterback.
Well, if he said streaming, I think he meant for season long, to be honest.
Do you think?
You don't really stream quarterbacks on DFS. You either play them or value quarterback. That's what they would say in the DFS.
Why did you stream one for daily? You wouldn't have a fantasy. You wouldn't have one in your backup,
Well, the question says, who are you guys in Dallas streaming at quarterback this week, right?
right?
So he meant for if you're streaming, because it's just for season long. It's not going to be DFS. You don't have backup. It's just 9 players. You have 9 players. You do your best tournament allocation to your salary and try to play the best roster. That's the way it works in DFS. You only have one quarterback. So
He said he meant streaming for season long.
okay, Mike, I said it already. Gardner Minshew was on my number 1, Kirk Cousins number 2, and then Ryan Tannehill number 3.
Comment.
Well, if it's for season long, I still say it's Phillip Rivers, and if Big Ben is still available somehow, I would say Big Ben is a solid streaming option at quarterback for the entire year.
Jared.
For the year, Ben does have the streaming option too. He actually stole my thunder, but we're on the same page today.
Not always, but you can pretend.
That's
I still say Jimmy G, and I have Ben, so I can't stream him. I have Ben Baker. Go ahead.
Can I say this? This worries me about Jimmy G though. I don't know the stat, but I'm pretty sure just me watching so much football in my life, Jimmy G's gonna struggle in this game because he doesn't have Kittle. Kittle is a huge part of that offense. He's probably the most important part of that offense because one, he can block and he can catch the ball, but he also makes life really easy on Jimmy G. Well, it's the Jets defense, so that's probably the great upside there. But I can see what's his name.
Reed?
Shanahan just running the ball. That game could be very low scoring. Vegas has projected very low scoring. With Kittle being out, I just see Jimmy G getting used. Well, I always look for at least 20-point upside when I stream. So
Okay. I'm not changing them. I'm not changing them. All right, so we have 3 minutes to tell people the one person they have to play today in regular fantasy and DFS. Ahmed, go.
Oh wow! This is for me. It's gonna. I've been this guy's biggest hype man since he was drafted by the Raiders, and I'm going to say this again. Brian Edwards. Yes, Brian Edwards, guys. I'm telling you right now, this is his buy low window. It's still open. He only had 1 reception. He had the most. He was on the field the most out of all the receivers last week. And yes, they're facing the Saints, but Brian Edwards should map in the slot heavily this week. And I do expect a lot of checkdowns from Derek Carr. Granted, he only targeted him once last week. That's only going to increase. The fact that he is actually on the field so much bodes well for season-long purposes. But for this week as well, if I'm taking a deep sleeper, it's Brian Edwards. Hey, we're talking deep sleepers here, guys. I'm not taking the obvious ones.
no, she said players.
The person that they have to play. The one person they have to play. That's not a good sleeper. That's a must start. Jared.
Outside of Darius Slayton, I'm still standing true because that's kind of no-brainer at this point. I'm still staying true to Scotty Miller with Mike Evans being out. Again, the report's has just been really good with Brady and Miller, and with Godwin out and still having, I believe Evans is still playing. The top tier cornerbacks and defense are still going to focus on Evans. That opens up the opportunities for Miller.
I'm going to go Ronald Jones. On the field for 47.14 snaps. I think he's just going to run over the Carolina defense. I'm going Ronald Jones, my must start. What do you got there, son?
Well, the time has come, guys.
Drum roll.
It's Jonathan Taylor season. Yes.
Oh, yeah. We should have just said it for him because we knew he was going to say Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I can't tell you, like, I told my brother, hey, when you guys come over, I want this couch. I want this TV. And until Jonathan Taylor scores that touchdown, it's a little tear comes down my eye. Don't put it on TikTok. Don't put it on Snapchat or Instagram. Let me be. Let me be.
And I'll throw in your must start, David Montgomery against the Giants. After seeing what Benny Snell did last week, if there's a game David Montgomery can actually do well, it'll be this game against the Giants.
Hamid, just so you know, if we want to do this, we can do this.
Let's do
Ryan
this.
Tannehill's single season franchise record, who led the NFL with 117.5 passer rating on 9.6 yards per attempt, and third in completion percentage at over 70%, while mitigating his turnover balls. So
It's like you guys just are like the little brothers and big brothers that no matter what, whoever gets the last jab when we leave the show, I win.
Wins. Yeah, I know, right?
Hey, Garrettson, you have a picture of JT? You have a poster of JT? Justin Timberlake?
He better have one.
Not him.
Oh, not Justin Timberlake. My bad.
hey, Gladys, I think we should let G-Man there do his outro since we did our intro, since he
He
joins us.
did, hey. Tell us where we can find you. Tell us all about you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter on FFJunkie85, and also, of course, I'm also a contributor with this team as well on the Armchair Show. So, I'm also on Facebook. My name is Hamid Sandhu on Facebook as well. So, yep.
And when you got Gerson, where can we find you?
I'm at the DFS Roundtable / the Fantasy G Podcast on Facebook. Twitter is the Fantasy G Pod. And basically on both of those most of the time. And I do the Friday night show for DFS with the DFS Armchair with Jeff and Tim Gobo. But yeah, you can find me there for sure.
I'm watching Hamid. You put your anti-Tannehill stats away. I see you looking at your screen and typing right now. So let's put that on reserve for 7 days.
I cannot wait for next week. I'm going to keep a close eye on Tannehill today. Oh,
Jared, where can we find you?
RICCO_3733. I'll keep it simple. Thanks for coming on to all of our watchers as well.
Yeah, and I am at Never Enough GLT on Twitter. You can also find me tomorrow on the Monday show with Kyle and Dan. And thank you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for
Good
asking
luck,
questions.
everybody.
Unless I'm playing you. Bye.
Peace.